Hi, I'm Lymander, and I've now made it past level 20 on the Druid in Pantheon, and I have some updated thoughts on the class. First off, the Druid has only been out for just over a week, and I'm sure there will be balance changes that will modify some of my observations here, but even so, the general idea should still hold. The path to level 20 included a lot more soloing than I would have expected. While a majority of the XP came from groups, I found myself soloing with my LFG flag on more often than I anticipated. This is likely due to the high number of druids that were created since it just came out, leading to fewer other classes to fill out groups and more competition for the healer role. Interestingly, I think Druid is currently a very capable DPS class, but because it's categorized as a healer, groups tend to pass them over in favor of a true DPS class. I was healing on the Druid after level 10. Well, I think it's very solid. Most of the time, I felt like I had all the tools I needed to handle whatever came my way without too much hassle. However, I do feel like I use more mana than I did on my Cleric at a similar level, especially when healing through heavy dots or handling extra adds without having a measure. Druid feels very much like a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none situation. The class has a lot of tools, but few of them are as strong as what other classes get. For example, the invisibility is self-cast only, lasts 1 minute, and drains your mana the entire time. Magic resistance debuff reduces the resistance by only 10. The spell interrupt has a 1-second cast with a 30-second cooldown, and I'm able to open gap, but not able to utilize expose or do any of the other similar style mechanics. The light spell is a static ground spawn, so it's not very useful if you are moving around, and has a 1-minute cooldown. And snare is single target and only lasts 18 seconds. So while it's nice to have all these options, if you're focused on healing, it's also difficult to divert your attention to utilize any of them effectively. How is the Druid's DPS? Well, when running a parser, check my other video on how to set up the one I'm using. I found that before level 20, I was able to maintain consistent uptime and deal about 75 to 90% of a true DPS class's damage, far better than my Cleric was doing. But once I hit level 20, Call Lightning changed everything. More often than not, I was topping the DPS charts, and while it used more mana, it was comparable to my summoner's mana consumption when running the mana efficient rotation, but still doing nearly the full DPS. I could also still assist with healing by at least keeping my talisman on the mob, so the main healer only really had to focus on the tank. I don't expect this DPS output to scale as well as a true DPS class at higher levels, but I do think Druids will continue to out DPS the other healers and possibly some tank builds. Call Lightning is insane at level 20, and I've crit for as high as 700 in the right situations. It's not all good news though. Here are a few things I'd like to see adjusted. Number 1, tree form confuses me. I don't know when I'd use it. If I'm soloing, I move too much for it to be useful. In groups, I shouldn't be getting hit. And if I do get hit, the regen it provides isn't enough. I think it should really be counted as sitting for the purpose of mana regen without the out of combat bonus, while still allowing casting. If that seems too strong, maybe make it so it doesn't stack with the Enchanter's mana regen buff. Number 2, invisibility should last longer than a minute. 3 minutes might be a good balance. It's long enough to plan your route, but not so long that it becomes a replacement for Enchanter Invis. Alternatively, the mana drain could be removed in favor of a slightly higher upfront cost. I don't think either of these would be too powerful, considering the rogues get unlimited Invis with no cost. Number 3, pets taking up a buff slot is frustrating. My pet takes up a buff slot that I'd rather use for some other spells. I currently have 3-ish more spells I'd like to keep on my bar just in case, but I have to dedicate 1 slot to my Fox. And also, I still don't really understand what the Fox does behind increasing the range of Verdant Fire Tree. All that said, with a couple balance passes and tweaks, I think the class will feel a lot smoother. Even with my current complaints, I'm having a blast playing the Druid. Be sure to check me out on Twitch if you want to follow my progress in real time. Thanks for watching.